of honor, the Honorable Dr. Call the name now. Dr. Kande Kole Yonkela. Let's try to give him a big hand, ladies and gentlemen. We also have in our midst one of the most respected judges in this country. We all know him. We always see him on TV. We respect him. The Honorable Lady Jenkins. We also have in our midst a respected clergy. He is no other than the Reverend Peter Justice. Please be seated. Honorable Dr. Kole Yonkela, Mrs. Yonkela, the Honorable Clay Jenkins, a respected clergy, members of various political groups, representatives from Sierra Stars Football Club, representatives from the Mandingo Group, representatives from Creole Descendants, Tegloma, Aslot, and all our guests from here in Dallas and its environs. We are glad. In fact, we are very glad to have you all here today. Considering how big Dallas is, or how big Texas is, I know most of you may have traveled long distances. But we also take solace in the fact that Dr. Yonkela has traveled further than all of us. I believe he came from Maryland to Texas, Houston to be precise, and then to Dallas. That's long. We thank him because he had the thought to do what he's doing. The National Grand Coalition is an alliance of various political parties in Sierra Leone. And as we all know, without a doubt, one day we will all come together as a coalition to make Sierra Leone into what it should be. It is not a one-party thing. It will never be. We've tried everything. So now we are moving out of the political realm. We need a leader. Like in the days of the Bible, we had Moses. There was God, but God used Moses to march his people into the promised land. And that's what we're trying to do. We've called on God to help us. God cannot come down and do it himself. He will use people. And he singled out somebody who I believe will lead us to the promised land. On behalf of the NGC, the National Grand Coalition, I welcome you all. And I'm excited. I'm excited. Because in all my years in this country, I've never known a president or parliamentarian to come here to talk to us, to know what our problems are, to see how we can solve our problems, or how we will go back and talk about our problems in Parliament. It has never happened. I've never known it to happen. But history is being made in Texas today. It's here. So feel free when it's that time to ask you questions. Well, respectfully. So, without much ado, I'll hand the mic over to Mr. Mama. Mr. Mama, who will be the facilitator for this event. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good evening again to everyone. And once more I want to say we're very sorry for starting at this time. As we all know, these are weekdays, and we are actually expecting everybody to be here, but due to one or two reasons, we are only starting now. And so I want to say we are really sorry for that. Want to welcome our Honorable Member of Parliament, Dr. Kande Koleyunkela, the wife. Welcome to once more. My duty here this evening is to make sure that we go through this program smooth and successfully. And by His grace, we're going to move on and do that. Without wasting time, we'll start off with a Christian prayer and followed by a Muslim prayer. We'll call on Mrs. Olive Coppard to give us a Christian prayer. Is she here?
Check. 1, 2. Test.
I want to assure you, as we wait for her, that we will surely achieve our goals tonight. I know there are questions ready for our servants here, and I'm sure he is ready to answer all of those questions. No doubt about it. If she's not here, we can call on the Muslim prayer for now. Mr. Musa Kamara. Mr. Musa Kamara.
Welcome, Mr. Honorable Kale Kolejukela with his wife. So now we are about to go about the Muslim prayers. Anything, we have to start with God. As long as God will, everything will be successful. Amen. Allahumma rabbana atina fid dunya hasanatan wa fil akhirati hasanatan wa qina adhaban nar. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين اللهم اغفر لي رحمه اللهم اغفر لي رحمه الله لا اله الا هو الحي القيوم لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض من ذا الذي يشفع إلا بإذنه يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يحيطون من شيء من علمه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات ولا يئوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم اللهم تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم اللهم ارجع إلى ربك مرجع راجعة فارق في هبة وارق الجنة اللهم اغفر لي ورحمه اللهم اغفر لي ورحمه اللهم اغفر لي ورحمه سبحانك رب العزة عما يصفون والصلاة والسلام على نبينا المرسلين إنا يا أمور إلى أراد الشيء أن يكون فيكون وسبحان الذي بيده وملكه وإليه ترجعون سبحانك رب العزة عما يصفون والصلاة والسلام على نبينا المرسلين الحمد لله رب العالمين أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.
Thank you very much, Mr. Musa Kamara. We now
I would just thank you for everybody. The Bible not just easy these days for them to be all together. It's under one umbrella. But we just thank you for being we all come together. You know why we're there today. And we also welcome with Papa and with Mama, Mr. and Mrs. Dr. Yukela and wife. We just thank you this evening for come, for let photo and they do and can see. We tell them about people who thank you, Papa. We just thank you for themselves and their family when they left back home. Lord, we ask that when they come here, you will deal with them, you will make anything when people they ask, you will even answer, Papa God, because we want you to see that in our country, come here. Lord, we thank you. We want to separate from all we can come right now, we ask you to be there safely, and take we all go home back safely. We ask for peace and harmony and love, Lord, share and each other, Father. We thank you for all the other good things that we keep aside for in this and all the other mass we ask in Jesus' name.
Amen.
thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mrs. Cooper. That amen is too small for our Lord and Maker. Can everybody say amen in Jesus' name? Amen. Hallelujah. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
At least God is our midst tonight. We're going to move on and officially want to introduce two people. The first, I will call on Mrs. Remy Davis to introduce our servant, the Honorable himself. After which, Mrs. Fatima Kogoma will then introduce his beautiful wife, as you can see, Mrs. Philomena Yukela. Mrs. Remy Davis, are you here?
Good evening, members of the High Tables. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Chairman, members of the NGC, I want to take this opportunity to thank you for the honor and the privilege that you have given me tonight to make this introduction. You have shown so much faith in me tonight to perform this higher task, and I will try to do it diligently. My duty here tonight is to introduce one of our finest sons of Africa, respectively Sierra Leone, to the Dallas community. He just celebrated a birthday about a month ago. Happy belated birthday. He was born on July 5, 1959, to Paramount Chief Alhaji by Shebora II and Anja Binton in the village of Kitchon, Samu Chiefdom, Cambia district in the northern province of Sierra Leone. He was born to a very religious family and a devout Muslim himself. He had a very successful educational background. He attended the FSG Nursery School and the Services Military School for his elementary school. He then proceeded to do his high schooling in Christ the King College in both Sierra Leone and graduated in 1978. In 1982, he obtained his Bachelor's in Science, General Agriculture in Njala University College, Sierra Leone. 1986, he got his Master's in Agricultural Economics at the Cornell University in the United States. 1991, he got his PhD in Agricultural Economics in the University of Illinois. Between 1987 and 1996, he held various academic positions at the Michigan State University and the University of Illinois. He is married to a very righteous lady who stands and supports him all the time, and they are blessed with a loving daughter. In 1994, just 3 years after receiving his doctorate degree from the University of Illinois, he was named Minister of Trade, Industry and State Enterprises in Sierra Leone, and he held that post until 1995. 1996, he became Special Advisor to UNIDO Director General Mauricio de Maricia in Campos. 1996-2000, he was the Director of the Africa and Least Developed Countries Regional Bureau, UNIDO. 2002-2003, he was a UNIDO representative and Director of the Regional Industrial Development Center in Nigeria. 2003-2005, he was a Senior Advisor to UNIDO Director General, Carlos Alfredo Magarinos. 2005-2013, he was the Director General of UNIDO. He has worked in different high-level capacities and positions in UNIDO, and the first from the sub-Saharan Africa to have been appointed to these positions. During his tenure at UNIDO, he provided solutions to many global challenges such as poverty, jobs, wealth creation, energy, and climate change. His writings have appeared in various newspapers, such as the New York Times, International Herald Tribune, and The Guardian. His interviews and appearances have also been broadcasted on networks like CNN, BBC, Sky News, Al Jazeera, and CNBC. Through the years, he has received awards and honors for his relentless work and efforts for the development of human services. One that stands out is the Prix de la Fondation, presented to him by Prince Albert of the Trans-Montana Forum for his global leadership and work in development. One of his hobbies that I noticed is that he loves sports, he loves jogging, and I've seen him. Among his achievements and contribution in Sierra Leone, I will go into detail because of time, are the hydroelectric power in Charlotte, Moyamba, Bakasuka in Port Loko, the Fishery and Marine Training Institute, the growth centers which use sustainable energy to promote sale of ice, cold drinks, by courtesy of solar energy, the biomass gasifier in Kitchen, Carrier District, youth-to-youth funding, which he established in 2011, that created employment and businesses for youth. The Solar Light Project, this was initiated by him and funded by UNIDO. The Quality Lab at PC, under his directorship, was funded by UNIDO as a national quality control for Sierra Leone. He also funded the Hydroelectric Power Center at Foreign College. And he also introduced the CREST program. Under this CREST program, his directorship, the Community Resilience through Entrepreneurship and Skills Training Program established a skill and business training center in Canberra for vulnerable youth and women. Presently, we are proud to have him as our Member of Parliament, representing Constituency 062 of Samu Chiefdom and the National Grand Coalition in Sierra Leone. In the past few months, he has shown his strength and drive to constructive opposition with issues and policies in the world of the Parliament. He has described himself as a child of globalization, referencing his access to education in foreign countries, which is an inspiration to every child. In his bid to run for the office of presidency of the Republic of Sierra Leone, he made a statement that stands out to me. I quote, "Fellow Sierra Leoneans, the choices we make in the next years will determine the fate of our country, your fate in the next 2 decades. We can be as poor as Niger Delta or as wealthy as Dubai. I believe the best way to predict the future is to create it. Tonight, we in the Dallas Metroplex have decided to create a future for Sierra Leone by selecting a leadership in the image of no one other than the Honorable Alhaji Dr. Kande Kole Yomuke."
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That was a good one. I cannot even tell how many minutes she took to write that. That shows how great this servant is. We're going to move on.
Excuse me for breaking in here. Before we move forward, I want us all to welcome one of our city councilmen from the city of Dallas, Brother Kevin. Bring you greetings later, so let's just give him some time.
Thank you, sir. We shall now call on Mrs. Fatima Kouma to give us the introduction for dear mama.
All right. Are we ready for our guest?
Yes, we are.
All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, well-wishers, friends and family. My name is Mrs. Fatma Tabari Koroma.
and I'm a strong member of NGC. I am excited to be here tonight and to have the opportunity to introduce a remarkable, dignified lady with a vision for our beloved Sierra Leone. She has a bachelor's degree from Jala University in Sierra Leone, and she proceeded to pursue a master's degree from the University of Illinois. She is the member for Urban Campaign. I don't want to call her name yet. I just want to, talk a little bit. I don't want to keep you guys here all night. But she is a proponent for improvement for the quality of life for the underprivileged children in Sierra Leone. Above all, she also has a positive and motivational attitude towards women, and this makes her a special person. She is a mother, a sister, a devoted and wonderful wife. Her dynamic range of acquaintances and a sense of adventure to help the poor knows no boundaries. Ladies and gentlemen, she just recently launched a Philomena Young Keller Foundation in Maryland. If you guys didn't know about this foundation is to help build an orphanage for children in the Cambia district. I just don't want you guys to think she's just doing it for Cambia. She's doing it for the whole Sierra Leone. Because you may be in the Cambia district and may not need that privilege. You may be in the south, or in the eastern region, Kainal and Kwendu, where my mother came from, and gain from those privileges. In a nutshell, I don't want to keep you guys here for long. It is a pleasure to introduce Mrs. Philomena Young Keller. That foundation, please. That foundation, let me say it in English, because we do have our distinguished guests here that may not understand what I'm saying. We plan to raise $1 million by September for that foundation. Yes. So, the ball is in your court. We can do it. Yes, we can. We can do it. I mean, $1 a day. If the president of Ethiopia can do it, the prime minister of Ethiopia can do it, we can do it. Yes. The Ethiopians have raised $30 million in 1 month. Just a penny a day and $1 a day. Every penny counts. So I'm pleading to this audience to get the ball rolling so we can get our dreams achieved for our beloved Sierra Leone. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. There is the usual saying in Texas, all team. Big. In Texas, all team. Big. And so if all team big inside Texas, We know say we can make 1 million, 1 million and small. You know this one?
That's good.
Yes. Right. Now response. I believe we are all ready to hear the responses from our honorable and the wife. But at this time, there is the usual saying, ladies
First.
ladies
First.
So with due respect, sir, we will now call upon our dear mama, Mrs. Yunkela, for her response.
Thank you very much, Fatmata, for that wonderful introduction. I don't know if this is the person you were describing in your speech there. Thanks a lot. Good evening, everybody, Mr. Chairman, members of the high table, and all protocols observed, like they say in the UN. Thank you very much for being here this evening and welcoming us to Dallas. Since we arrived yesterday, we've been taken care of like we were back home. I feel so much at home, and this is the first time I've been to Dallas. And I wish we could have stayed a little bit more longer to visit Dallas properly and see various places that we've heard about. But thank you very much. Thank you all for the support you've given us throughout the political career of Kandi and I. I am the humanitarian, the charity person in the family. I'm not a politician, but I've learned a lot being with Kandi, and I'm still learning. I will just speak briefly about my own career or background. I won't go into details because Fatma has already done that. But I'll start from when I joined Kandi in Vienna when we got the job at the UN. I was working on my PhD program at Michigan State University. I was 2 years into the program and I abandoned it and with my daughter, with our daughter. But during that period in Vienna, we were not allowed to work as a spouse of diplomats. So I joined the United Nations Women's Guild, which I did not regret at all. It's one of the biggest women's charity organization, with the second one in Geneva. I was very active and was on the charity review committee. It was then I realized how important and how valuable women are, because that organization is all women. And every year, towards the end of the year, they do a grand bazaar. They raise funds for charities all over the world. Programs, projects that cater for women and children. So being on that committee, I was able to help Sierra Leone, my country, with 6 projects, ranging from sponsoring the baby feeding program at Cottage Hospital, sponsoring the orphanage in Gundama by the Archbishop Ganga, sponsored the vocational center at the Our Lady Star of the Sea in Juba, and various other projects. Got medication, computers for the universities, and anything that I can lay my hands on, anything that will help the development of Sierra Leone, I will try to get it for our people. We sent books and other things in those days. So I've done my charity work for the past 20 years. So this has nothing to do with politics or NGC, you know. It's just my own calling, it's my passion, that's what I love to do. So when we went, let me fast forward, we went back home 3 years ago. I embarked on doing that, doing my charity work. I've taken kids off the streets, 3 of them. I'm paying fees for them, I'm taking care of them. Not only fees, I'm taking care of them, feeding them physically, spiritually. They are not living with me, but they are in a comfortable place. And coupled with many others that I'm taking care of. You cannot imagine how many kids roam the streets of Syracuse, not only in Freetown. I remember somebody telling me that when Candace started the campaign and said, "Auntie Fido, you want to know how people in the streets now? Come 2 o'clock morning, like Perry gonna submit or that street, may you see how parents and suffer because they're picking them even local side. These are boys and girls, you know, sleeping under the bridges in slums. So I vowed, you know, I said to myself, if there's anything I will do, in addition to what I've been doing already for my people, if God gives me the opportunity to be the first lady, even though I've been the first lady of Unido, and I know what I did, you know, this is what I would love to do, get these kids off the streets. And the girls, not only the girls, especially the boys, because you go down to Lonely or some areas, you can't even walk with your bag loose, hanging loose. You're scared to come and grab it from you, do anything to you. Because these kids have nothing to do, they're just roaming about the street. So when this one girl that really touched my heart was selling water. You know, water, plastic bags on the streets across Congo Cross. And my driver said, we were driving along and he said, "Mommy, look this speaking out with mine. He said, "We're foolish for nothing. You know, this girl just be left hanging." I said, "Stop the vehicle." And I called the girl. "What are you selling?" She said, "Water." "How many packets do you have in there?" I said, 12. I bought all the water and it was not even up to 10,000 leons. Then I gave her additional money and I said, "Where do you live?" "Oh, I live in Moriton Barracks with my aunt." I said, "Why are you selling water on the street? Why didn't you sit in front of the house to sell water?" "She's finding school fees." I said, "This will not pay your fees, 10,000 or 20,000 leons. That's what?
Like $5.
$2. I said, "Okay, here's my number." I didn't tell her who I was. I said, "Just have your aunt call me. If that's your problem, then you will not sell water again." So the girl was from Makeni. I live with an aunt in Freetown. She wasn't going to school, beautiful girl. Anyway, the long and short of it, she called the sister in Makeni. She has an elder sister. They came. They didn't come to my house. I met them. And they could not even take me to the house or the aunt because they were scared of her. I said, "Okay, tell me your situation." Told me everything. I said, "Fine. Do you want to go back to Makeni or you want to stay in Freetown?" And she said, "I want to go back to Mmeeting." I told the elder sister, "You take her back to Mmeeting, find the best school there for her, and get all the information for me. I'll take care of her. I'll give you food money every month, and rent money, transport money." So she's now in school. It's what, you know, I don't have an opportunity to show you the picture of how beautiful this girl is. She's now in school, very brilliant. Before I came, she came to Freetown, showed me her report card. In fact, it was months later she knew who I was. They saw me on television and said, "Oh my God, this is Mmeeting, you know." They can't be president, you know. So anyway, the mother is blind in the village, the father is handicapped. I'm taking care of them when they have a place in Makeni. The elder sister is in university. They're doing well. That's just one example I'm giving you, but there are many, many like that. So whenever I have said to myself, whenever I have the opportunity to help the kids and women, I will do it. And by the grace of God, I will do it. Not only to criticize people and criticize issues, we should try to find a solution, to do something about it. when you see things not going well, if you have the opportunity, just do it. Because we owe it to these kids, you know, to give them a good life. Some of us that God has blessed. I have so many of them. Some of them are married, 2 of them are married now. I have a daughter, we have a daughter, but I have adopted 2, 3, and 2 of them are married now. They have kids. I feel fulfilled when I do things like that and I see the results, you know. So when I asked Ibrahim, or we discussed about launching this foundation, Philomena Yungela Foundation, he was so thrilled and said, look, Auntie Philo, I will help you. We have to do this. We have to have, there are orphanages in the country. There's one in Freetown, the biggest one I can say, Don Bosco Family Home.
Yes.
I have been helping them, sometimes with my own members like the Caritas, Sushi Foundation, Hilly Foundation. Sometimes we distribute rice, food, clothes, and shoes to these orphanages. Even during from the Ebola crisis to the mudslide, I fed over 1,000 people, or my team, we fed over 1,000 people from Kanibo to Motema, the one in Regent, where the mudslide took place. We were there every week feeding those people with your help, because we got some funding from the Georgia group, the NGC Women's Wing, ones from the UK. We fed those people for almost a week, going there every day cooking for them, the displaced from the mudslide, women and children. It was not, you didn't, maybe a bag of rice would feed 500 people at one location. And at the end, when the funds were running out, you know, the sushi guy said to me, Auntie Philo, did you put beef and fish? He said, no, for me, pema for them. So at the end of the 2 days with my program, I made the pema, and they loved it. They loved it. I said, dear auntie, now for come back next week. I said, if I get money, if I get the funds, I will come. Anyway, I won't go into everything that I've been doing, but just rest assured that I've done a lot. I don't talk too much about what I do, but the records are there, it shows. So this foundation, we want to, God willing, nothing is impossible in the eyes of God. If we get the orphanage, because Don Bosco is the one that I say is and when the mudslide took place, that man is a priest, Father George, but he's from Italy. He took in so many of those displaced kids, and he had no room for them. Because I went there, I visited, we took some things for them. They were sleeping outside in the playground area, and UNICEF gave them tents and other stuff, mattresses. But it's not enough. And if you do have them, in fact, they are not in good standards. Not nice, good toilet, not even nice. Proper toilet systems, good running water. So my aim is to have this orphanage, one of its kind, in Sierra Leone. And when we say it will be in Cambia, Freetown is congested already. It will be in Cambia, but not only Cambia. If I start it, that one in Cambia, then we can have in the cities, maybe in Bo, Makeni, Kenema, and we will do our studies. If we know that this location does not need an orphanage, maybe what they need is a vocational training center, then once I have the funds, we will do that for them. Because we need that now in that country. We need it very, very badly. So, without keeping you, laying the points any further, I plead with you. This is a global plea that I'm going to be doing, because the website is already there and they're doing a GoFundMe. It's a global plea now. It's not only for your Texans here, Dallas group, but if you know any other group, anybody that could help fund this project for my orphanage, please do so. You will be really, really taking maybe the next president in the future of the streets of Congo. Thank you very much.
Our honorable likes to dance to this music, so let's join him and dance to the song. Show some
There you go.
When he says I am, I know who
That's the Lord who wants it to
when he says I am. When he says I am, I know who I am.
Yeah.
Walking power, I'm walking
Let's walk in power and miracle.
life of favor.
Yeah.
I know who I am. I'm walking power, I'm walking miracles. I live a life of favor. For I know who I am.
Yeah. This is what we're talking about. What's the unity of love we want to sustain you? Yeah.
We are the chosen generation.
We hear you.
God to show His excellence. All I require for life, God has given me, and I know.
Yeah, I know who God says I am.
We are the chosen generation.
Yeah.
God to show His excellence.
Yes.
All I require for life, God has given me. I know who I am. I know who God says I am. What He says I am.
Yes.
When He says I am.
That's what he's talking about.
Who I am. I know who God says I am. What He says I am. When He says I am. I know who I am. I'm walking in power. I'm walking in miracles. I live my life on favor.
Yes.
I know who I am. I'm walking in power.
Your voice to the dance to a 6 now. Can we dance to a 6 now?
No, I know who I am.
Thank you. Can we dance to a 6?
I know who I am.
Yes.
I know who I
I feel honored on behalf of my wife and I to be here with you. It's my first town hall meeting here in Dallas. I've done it all over the world and in Sierra Leone. I introduced them now to town hall meetings over the last 3 years. And so I'm happy to be with you. Thank you very much on behalf of colleague NGC members in Sierra Leone to thank all of you. This is a thank you tour to say thank you for believing in us. Thank you for supporting our presidential bid. Thank you for having the audacity to say you're forming a new party in a country where people are bipolar. If you're either APC or SLPP, we decided to have the audacity to say we challenge the orthodoxy. And we have to do that. Innovation comes when you ask, why not? Or what if? We dare, all of you, and myself, and others in Sierra Leone, we dare to say we want a better Sierra Leone, and we want to do things different. 56 years of independence, what do we have to show? We're amongst the 10 poorest countries in the world. Most times for the last 2 decades, we are at the bottom of the lowest Human Development Index. 2008, we were ranked the bottom of the bottom, even below Haiti. Yes, that's our destiny. That's what we've been, 56 years of independence. Today, 70% of the population lives on less than $2 a day. Is there something to be proud of, given all what we have? If you're not angry about that, I'm angry about that. Highest maternal mortality rate, one of the highest infant mortality rates. In fact, most of the decades, the past 2 decades, highest infant mortality rate. Yes, FAO last year released a report. We're amongst the 5 hungriest countries in the world. Is there something to be proud of? No. So if you think orthodoxy is good, stay poor. If you think change is possible, then change. You should be the change you want to be. But in the nation where we live today, you see people dancing about, praising themselves, and they say we're doing well. I dared to challenge them 3 years ago. I said, when we are in global systems, If you say you're doing well, we say compared to whom? You need to have a benchmark. We're worse than most of our neighbors in West Africa. When it comes to electricity, lowest electrification, what do you have to be proud of? And I see people being comfortable that they were doing well, managing the country very well. I was angry. I left my career. I was at the pinnacle of my career, yes. You see the facts. I'm the first to be an elected head of agency in the history of the United Nations from Sierra Leone. Yes. I went there because I had great opportunity. I excelled, I did well. I didn't have to leave it. Which of you will leave a 6-figure salary and go home? I'm a young man, I left at 55. And people told me I was crazy. I said, no, I'm not. And they said, why would you go when Ebola is still there? I said, because they need me now. Secretary General said, are you sure you want to go home? I said, yes, sir. I leave now. I got to go help my people. And why do I want to run for president? Because the leadership matters. Enlightened leadership is crucial. Principled leadership matters. Other countries are not excelling because of accident. No, because of deliberate, determined effort to change. In our country, we settle for the lowest common denominator. Until we say we did manage, we did try. God did for everybody. We did for one. That's why I went home and I gave up everything. But here in the US, we all have had to struggle. We all had to struggle to reach where we are. Nobody gave us anything for free. Since it's my first time here, let me tell you a story I've told for 3 years. Once I looked for a cleaning job. At the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, I needed cash. Quick cash, you go find a quick job for a week. And the guy said, hey, how can I use you? Of course, I looked at him and said, come on, I'm doing my PhD. He didn't give a damn what I was doing a PhD. Can you sweep for me, buddy? Can you mop? That's what he wants to know. Can you deliver? Of course, he gave me the broom and I showed that I could sweep too. Because I needed the cash. Many of us have had to struggle to be where we are.
Yes.
In this country, nobody gave us anything for free. They gave us a chance. And that's the chance we have to give others back home. A chance to excel, to fulfill their full potential. So I fast forward, I went home. My wife and I, we gave up everything, took the risk. And yes, we were welcomed the hard way. Within 48, the day I landed, my brother was arrested. The day I landed, they went to pick me up at the airport. Bam, arrested. So that was my welcome. After being seen off in New York by the Secretary General and the ambassador. 2 days later, they were spitting at me in the party office, me and my mom. But I stood firm. I still campaign, continue. Elections are done, we lost. We lost the elections, many factors. All of you say, well, how did we lose? Of course, we lost. It was tough. We tried. We had the audacity to form a new party. Finally, they gave us our certificate 5 months before showtime. Deliberately delayed it. We still were not discouraged because you were there. You guys supported us because you wanted change. We had the nerve to campaign hard in that country, up and down. They told me I'll give up and run away again, saying he's been spoiled already by the Western world. He'll run away. We stayed firm. There were threats, tough. We lost because there was not enough time. We lost it because tribalism still exists. Still exists. It still exists whether we like it or not. And if we're not careful, it will divide our country. And it's wrong, we campaign against it. And corruption is deep. Corruption is deep. Look at what is coming out today. Some people say, well, when Dr. Yungela came 2 years ago, he wrote an article about institutionalized leakages. I dare to do it, documenting that, wait a minute, what is happening now will cripple successive governments. The debt is too much. You're borrowing as if there is no tomorrow, and we don't see the evidence on the ground. They told me I was an academic. He thinks he's still in the United Nations, or he's teaching at Michigan State. I said, okay, if you think it's theory, you'll see. 2 years from now, I'm a trained economist. That did not work. So I wrote another article, Rankonomics. You know why I call it Rankonomics? Because Emerson had just released a new record, Mungu Boston Matches. And he was talking about politicians. So I say it's worse than that. The ranker politicians do ranker economics. So I call it rankernomics. But they do fake stuff. They don't show the real numbers. They do quick bandage. And people say it's good. Of course, most of them collapse. The economy has collapsed now. Yes. But people think it just happened in 4 months. Of course not. If you're a trained economist, it takes a long time for an economy to collapse. Ask yourself, are we the only ones who suffered Ebola? Are we the only ones who suffered drop in commodity prices? Liberia and Guinea had it worse. But their economies did not collapse. Why did the Sierra Leonean economy collapse? Rankernomics. I wrote it down. But you gotta pick yourself up. Now I've been in politics in Sierra Leone 3 years. They've beat me up. They've punched me. I said in Houston, I used to like Mike Tyson. You know, once they interviewed Mike Tyson, they say you really send a tough punch. You know, sometimes your uppercut is tough. They say, but sometimes they hit me back. They say, so how do you deal with it? They say you have to pray that when they hit you and you get drunk, that the second punch will wake you up. I don't do it in politics now. They beat me up. I have swallowed my own piece of the blood as well. Tough. But I picked myself up and keep going. And you gotta do it if you care about that country. The numbers are real. You can't fake them. When they faked what was going on in the economy, what happened? Today inflation is high. Already last year inflation was 21%. Who can survive under that? In economics, you can fake for a while, but your inflation numbers will show.
Yes.
Your GDP growth rate will show. Your exchange rate will show.
Yes.
So what I say to you is not about politics. It's about us wanting to make a better Sierra Leone. Make the economy grow. 60% youth unemployment. What are they going to do?
Stealing money.
It's that reality that should say to you, you are living in the first world. Keep the tribalism away. Keep the party colors away for a minute. Ask yourself, is this a nation you're proud of? And ask yourself, what can you do to help? The Americans created paradise here. If you've gotten that opportunity, create one at home too. Help people there. It's not enough to send the remittances. So we fast forward. We're reorganizing our party. We lost an election, but that's not the end of the story. If you believe in the values of the NGC, constitutionality, rule of law, human rights, and giving equal opportunity to people, and creating wealth for the people, then you have to stay the course. It's not a quick fix. It's not about somebody getting an appointment quickly. It's about creating a better Sierra Leone. You have to believe that you can do that. Otherwise, it is business as usual. We remain poor. We will remain poor. NGC also has to say truth to power. In our country today, they want you to either be red or green. So even if they're doing bad, you have to support. I refuse to do that. That's not why I got good education. I was already teaching at Michigan State in 1991. One of the best institutions in this country. I got the best of American education. Cornell, University of Illinois, teaching at Michigan State. Should I go back because of partisan politics? Forget everything I learned that I was teaching? I was even teaching to white people. Should I forget that? I used to go to Asia as a big UN man, advising on industrialization, pollution, sustainability. Should I go to Sierra Leone and forget all that? I refuse to do it. I went home to help the people. They can reject me. It's not everybody that loved Martin Luther King, right?
No.
But he stayed the course. I used to tell them, I said, Martin Luther King preached about change. He preached about rights. But at some point he had to leave the pulpit and cross over Selma Bridge. When things became tough, I went back and watched the movie Selma, just to give myself courage. Here was a preacher. Yes, he believed in God, he preached. But he had to leave the pulpit and walk across Selma Bridge. He had to be beaten up. If you want change, you gotta walk the change. Another time I got really frustrated, I went back and listened to Obama's second inaugural speech. Remember, he kept repeating, we have to march. We have to march, he kept saying. He used the word march. It means if you want change, you got to bring change. You got to march. That's why NGC is crucial today than ever before. We have to be that force that can talk about the rule of law, constitutionality, and say we are all Sierra Leoneans. Don't divide us by tribe or region. And yes, we must fight corruption. Corruption is bad. It is wrong for anybody to believe they can steal millions of dollars and they just sail away. They gotta answer. If you didn't do it, you're fine. If you did it, gotta answer. Because they deprived our children of schools. They deprived our teachers from being paid. 30,000 teachers not on PIN code. You think that is good? Just because you belong to that tribe or the man did it, he belongs to your tribe, so you cover it? No. We want to know, right? Accountability matters. Yes. Going forward, we will restructure our party. We'll reorganize. We'll send you guidelines as well. You will do your own elections. To appoint your own leaders by later in the year. We'll send those guidelines out. It's never happened before. A party loses election and look at us. We're around the world. From here, now I go to 8 states. We are doing things they never saw before. Never seen. And I told them, you can't define me. Obama refused for anybody to define him. Martin Luther King was not defined by anybody. He was defined by the moments. And he said, to paraphrase Martin Luther King, you don't know a man in times of comfort, but in times of challenges, the choices they make. I could have left now and said, okay, I gave them 3 years. I go back and take a big job. And the offers are there. But I'm staying the course back home. I went home before Ebola finished. And I had been there 3 times during Ebola. I'm still there. People want to get rid of me, of course, because they say I have a loud mouth. Yeah. I don't fear going on television to tell truth to power too, but it's because you were there. You give me courage, you give me hope, you give me inspiration. We gotta help. We gotta fix that country. Some of you are getting to my age. You want to go visit Sierra Leone. You want to make sure there is a hospital ready, a trauma center, right? Well, let's build it together. You'll go home on holidays, you want to have clean water, right? Because you don't want to come back with typhoid. Let's fix the water system for the people. If they have it, you'll get clean water to drink. You owe it to them. Many of us had a good education. When I came to Cornell, they were surprised. How can he write English this way? Because the education system was damn good at home. Yes. So we need to give that to the next generation. Finally, I'm happy to be here. I know there are SLPP and APC people here. At the end of the day, we are all just Sierra Leoneans, eh? Yes, that's what I think. We're all Sierra Leoneans. For now, let's leave the party colors, because in Africa, we take politics as if it is war. We wear the party colors as if it's part of our scheme. So nobody should criticize policy. They take it personal. APC, SLPP, C4C, NGC, we're all just Sierra Leoneans.
Yes.
Let us fight for Sierra Leone. And that's why in NGC we say, salute us. Our country first.
Right. I said we stand.
United we stand.
We stand united.
You touch one. We were the sofa. And yes, most of the Sierra Leoneans are for that. 70% we lost an election, but it is to teach us to do it better. You know the guy who discovered the light bulb? He was in his laboratory, and people came in and said, come on, you're wasting your time. You've tried 1,000 times and you couldn't find a solution. He turned around and looked at the guy. He said, yes, I know 1,000 ways of not doing it. I just need the one way to do it right. So let me tell you, we lost an election, but we should learn. They cheated us. Therefore, we should not be we should not be too ambitious the next time. We recalibrate our strategy.
Yes, sir.
Reverend, I want to thank you. Thank you today. You don't realize that visiting you today, I was damn tired because we've been going around. I left Maryland, went to Arkansas, Houston, and then here. But you woke me up. There was something on your wall. You don't realize that I read it. Quotation from King. There's always a right time to do the right thing, right? And I sat there and said, yeah, We never give up. You find that right time, and it's always right to do the right thing. People want me now to automatically align. I cannot do it yet. We are NGC. We fought a battle on values. We fought a battle on values. Let us not be like any other politician. They call you, you come. I should have been a minister now. Said no thanks. Koroma offered me a ministerial job 2013. I said thank you very much, sir. When I was a minister, I resigned and came back to Michigan State to be a professor. They told me I was crazy. I don't do things for convenience. If I need money now, I just stop and go back out. I get a job, top international job, because I made my career over 35 years. Yes, but I stayed home. So you can't show me money and convince me about anything. When I told people that I would run for parliament, let me tell you, they say I'm crazy. You wanted to be president, how can you run for parliament too? I say, if you know where I was trained in the United States, I was in this country when you had Tip O'Neill and Ronald Reagan. So I used to sit in front of the TV, see this big man challenging Mr. President to tell him, you gotta follow the systems. Two old men. Looking at that tradition, I say parliaments are important. And we Sierra Leoneans copied the American Constitution. Our 1991 Constitution is more American than British. It was a deliberate effort. So the president and the vice president are co-elected. We borrowed it from America. They made the parliament very powerful. If there's corruption in Sierra Leone, it will happen if the parliament is not strong. We have oversight responsibilities. We copy the Americans. All ministers and major appointees have to be approved by parliament. So you can't blame the president alone when things fall out. If we appoint the wrong people, we're guilty. The parliament approves the budget. Like here, appropriations committee.
Thank you.
All of those we copied from the Americans. So if your parliament is not good, corruption will thrive. Abbas Bungu said it a few weeks ago, after we appointed another set of ministers and ambassadors. He said, now we have to play our oversight role. If we don't do it, then the Anti-Corruption Commission will have another one. So parliament is important. People say, how can you go from president, global leader, president, now is a village representative. I'm proud to do it. It's for the common man. But as a parliamentarian, I speak for the people. I am not appointed by the president. I was elected by the people. I have 5 years. So I speak truth to power because I was elected. Finally, dual nationality. I was hounded like hell. They fought me in the Supreme Court till 2 days before elections. To sing. Yes. I have worked with the SLPP, the APC, and NGC now, negotiating with them, encouraging them. We have a draft bill. We want to amend section 75 and 76 of the Constitution, so none of you will suffer that humiliation. It was wrong. It was unjust. I will not benefit from it now, and that's what leadership is. I will not benefit now. I have to apply for a visa to come here. Yeah. But I will do it for you and your children. And I know the SLPP wants it, the APC wants it too, and C4C. So now, that bill is supposed to be published. I hope they publish it. They should not stop it. It's my fundamental right to move a private member bill in Parliament to amend section 75 and 76. And I know my colleagues want it too, and I know President Leo wants it. So inshallah, it will be put on the floor of Parliament. Once I go back, I'll send a notice of motion. I hope they publish it, they don't block it, because then we have a problem. Then I have to go on the rampage. Because when people want power, they come to the diaspora, right? Yes. Well, let's see if they will deliver when they're in power too. So now I did it together with my colleagues in SLPP and APC, a real bipartisan approach. So that's one approach. Second, the president, the government is supposed to have a white paper on the Constitutional Review Report, CRC report. Yeah? There again, we have an opportunity to amend section 75 and 76. Whether we do it as a parliamentary bill or CRC, same result, right? The last one is whether you can vote. and I believe you deserve to vote. So in fact, I came with the National Electoral Commission. This is the act that created the National Electoral Commission, dated 2012, as amended, section 18. Already, in terms of voting, it is not really a legal matter. It is not a legal matter whether you can vote or not. It is an administrative and finance matter. Here's what section 18 says. It says, notwithstanding anything to the contrary in the Act, the Electoral Commission may make provision for the registration outside of Sierra Leone of non-resident citizens of Sierra Leone who may wish to be registered as voters. Already in 2012. So why aren't you voting? In my view, it is finance and administration. They have not set up the mechanism for you to register outside. If you can register outside, you can vote outside. The Guineans do it. Poor countries are doing it. Why not us? So I am hoping in December, when we're looking at the budget, I will defend the National Electoral Commission budget. I will fight for them so they begin to put money to start now. Not 4 years from now, but now. To give our people that right to vote. And it is possible. If you take the United States, you need 5 centers only. You do New York, you do Washington, maybe one in Houston or Dallas for all of those guys in the West. You do in Atlanta. These are the big population, Sierra Leonean population centers. You can do UK, France, and Germany. People will travel. It's better you travel $300, right? On Amtrak, than you pay $2,500 to go and register, another $2,500 to vote. So, NGC, in collaboration with the SLPP, with the APC, I believe we should empower our people. We tap into your knowledge, we allow you to hold positions, at the same time we allow you to vote. People should not take your money, but they don't want your views. You can also contribute. The Ghanaians are doing it, Nigerians are doing it, you deserve it too. Thank you very much, God bless you.
Thank you very much, Honorable, for your presentation and your response to the audience. It was well said, sir. You may take your seat for a while, sir. Thank you very much.
Good evening. All right. My name is Kevin Felder, and I am a Dallas City Councilman. I represent the southern sector of the city of Dallas. Raise your hand if you know where Fair Park is.
Yeah, we don't know what Fair Park is.
It's my district.
There you go.
How many of you go to the fair?
We all do.
Stay in touch with me, I might get you some tickets.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going into my second year. It's a 2-year term. I was elected to Dallas City Council in June of 2017. So I am a freshman, but I'm a fighting freshman. You know, I make sure that I make every day count, because you never know what tomorrow brings.
Yes, sir.
So in listening to Dr. Candy, and he's talking about his races, and he just lost a race. Well, I can write a book on that. So let me tell you my story. I began to run for this seat in 1999. So it took me 18 years and 5 races. So I think, Dr. Candy, I think I got you beat. Now, listen. The most important thing in all of this is service. If you're getting into it for the right reason, it doesn't matter how many times you lose. It's like a baby. When a baby is trying to learn to walk, they're gonna fall many times. They're gonna crawl, they're gonna try to stand up, they're gonna fall, try to stand up, and then one day you'll look up and that baby is walking upright. So, that's my story. I started in 1999, and I came in last place. It was a very humbling experience for me, because I felt like I had the best background of everybody running. But that doesn't always get you elected, especially if nobody knows who you are. I knew who I was, but they didn't know who I was. They know now.
Dumana and Miss Elizabeth Aubrey to go ahead with the questions and answer session.
That's what we're gonna do. This hall is packed full, and I know you all have great questions for Dr. Yunkela and Mrs. Yunkela. In order for us to take in as many questions as we can and to stay orderly, here's what we're gonna do. You have index cards on your table. Please, and pencils. Please write your questions on those index cards. Give them to us. We'll read them out. And then we'll give our honorable and Mrs. to answer your questions. All right?
Just what I want to add to that, there are too many people. Thank you all so very much for coming. We really appreciate the audience. But the best way to do this, we had agreed, is for each table to come up with their questions. However many you want, but we are going to choose just one. So the best thing might be for you all to hang heads and determine what question you want to ask. You may come up with 3, but in the end, we are going to take just one. If we go around all the tables, we'll come back and start from where we started from. Does that make sense?
No.
Okay. But you know what? No. This is our show. It's an opportunity. We cannot have each single person write a question, and we are not going to have questions thrown at the honorable. So every table, hang heads, come up with questions you want to ask, write them on your index card.
Somebody came into the hall today with a question. So it is only fair that I start with that question. That's Willie. Will this question go start? It says discussion question on economic growth and public policy. Which of the following policies do you think would be most effective in boosting growth and living standards in poor countries over the long run? A, offer tax incentives for investment by local firms. Offer tax incentives for investment by foreign firms. Give cash payments for good school attendance. Crack down on government corruption. Restrict imports to protect domestic industries. Allow free trade. Give away condoms. It's over to you, Doctor. I can give you the list.
Say turn it up. Why you not turn it on?
In our countries, you need a package, what we call a suite of policies to be able to rebuild the economy. One of those alone will not solve it. Yeah? We need to incentivize our local private sector in the country to be able to create jobs and wealth right now. People believe that government should provide the jobs. And the size of government is already big. We can't even pay salaries. So indeed, we need to incentivize our own local private sector. But the economy is too small. We need to attract FDI. And we should try to do that very aggressively. So again, that's why I say you need a suite of policies. Now, if you take the last one about condoms, my district, our district Cambia, we hosted the UNFPA, UN Population Fund, and the Minister of Health, the whole delegation to launch the World Population Day, to celebrate the World Population Day. Our district in Cambia has the highest birth rate in the country. We also have the lowest use of contraception, 5%. So you look at that particular location, it's Cambia, Koinadugu, Falaba, and I think Kailam. We have to do some family planning. So we need condoms. I'm just trying to tell you how complex public policy is. One silver bullet will not solve our problem. We also need expenditure controls. We were spending money like there is no tomorrow. When they said we were growing at 21%, fastest growing economy. We didn't save for the rainy day too. So again, you look at that, and that's part of what they're debating now. How much more expenditure controls should we do? Because we're spending almost 2.5 times the revenues we collect. But we have to enhance revenue collection, some degree of taxation. But you overtax, you give disincentive to the private sector. Again, those of you economists, the famous labor call. Yeah? So, hey, all I was saying to my brother there is, you need a combination. Combination of policies, and also some micro-level interventions to create entrepreneurship and unleash the youth so that they can fulfill their potential. Education is crucial. That's why I support the President's Free Education Initiative. And I'm aggressively pursuing it, especially in our district, but nationally. We need education. But the free education has to be done properly. So when I started supporting it, people say, don't go SFPP. It is because it is fundamental. Education is the biggest liberator. And that's why we have said openly, I'm on TV and on radio. I say when it comes to good policies of the government, even though I'm in the opposition, I support them. That's why I stand up in supporting free education. Yes. It's important. Yes. No hesitation.
I have a card in my hand that's meant, it's not a question. Somebody is giving you a word of encouragement. It says, visionaries do not lose, with an exclamation mark. The right time might be deferred, but victory is certain.
Inshallah. Thank you very much. Inshallah.
So here's the question. What is your plan to manage the regionalism politics of APC and LCPP in order to win the next elections?
Our people will not change overnight, but we cannot relent. We still have to preach inclusiveness in our country. We have to live it, we have to preach it to them, and we also have to show them the follies of deep tribalism and regionalism. Show them some of their own people who have made money, but the region is poor. Yeah? If we find some people who have chopped a lot of money, tens of millions of dollars, and now they want to preach tribalism to the people because they don't have access to that money, we should expose them. Tribalism is bad. Some people hide behind the tribe when things are rough. When they're enjoying the glory, they don't say anything. So I believe we keep preaching against it. They're progressives in every region. They want to alleviate poverty. They want good education. They don't want their children to suffer. I'll just say we stay the course. It may not happen overnight, but I believe we'll get people. I have no doubt that in that country, there are a good number of people who do not believe in regionalism. They believe in salon.
Yes.
So we keep hope alive.
Thank you, Doctor. Next question comes from Doris Bright, and it reads, on behalf of the SLPP Dallas chapter, welcome to Dallas. I hope the NGC are making your stay a memorable one. I think we are doing our best. Now the question. The recent GTT report alleged serious misappropriation by the APC administration. The people of Sierra Leone demanded checks and balances by voting SLPP for president. APC in the majority, NGC and C4C. As a parliamentarian, what checks and balances have you been instituting to help reduce this colossal corruption in Sierra Leone? Also, the president just, I think you already addressed it, I have to. The president just unveiled a free education program under the new direction. This is a humongous challenge. What is the NGC doing to ensure the success of this program, specifically in your constituency? And that comes from Doris Bright, chairlady, SLPP Dallas chapter.
I'll take the last part first. Gambia district was the very first district, even though it's NGC district. We won the district council. We won 14 out of the, I think, 18 councillor seats. We won 4 out of 6 MPC, so we control Gambia. But we were the first to invite the Minister of Education to come to our district, and I took him to my constituency. So when I said openly that I support the free education initiative, it's not blah, blah, blah. Yeah? We have supported it. We've brought the minister to our district. Others are trying to follow up now. We've also nominated people to be on the ward level. That's one of the innovations now, to have ward level councils, education councils, that can monitor the implementation of the free education. NGC was the first to send in their nominees. So we're very genuine about it, open and genuine to support it. And personally, in my own constituency, we have assured the government, and I go back, I'm going to visit them again, we want to see the schools built. We want to put the checks and balances to make sure when they give contracts to people to build schools, that they will build the schools. We want to make sure when they give contracts to people to give uniforms and food for the kids, they will deliver. If they don't, I go to the red. That I've assured them. I've said, just give us the list of the contractors and we will go check the schools. This is how citizens should support their government. Otherwise, people will steal the money. I have no doubt. Because it's difficult to go to Kubola. How many of you have been to Kubola in Kabbalah? So go and check. Unless the citizens and the parliamentarians and councillors themselves be policemen and women for the government. So free education, have no doubt. We've taken steps and we're going to do that as much as we can around the country. On the other questions about the GTT and corruption, the allegations in the GTT are very serious. Very serious. I believe that as a people, we want to know if it is true. We want to know the veracity of what is in that report. If what is there is true, it is bad for us. That means indeed they're confirming what I said for 2-3 years in that country, that we have one of the most efficient kleptocracies in the world. Well, let us see. The good news is there's going to be a commission of inquiry. It is also important as a lawmaker that we give people the right to defend themselves. Anybody can write a report about you. You deserve the right to defend yourself. That's why I'm happy the government also now says commission of inquiry. Let people come and explain. We need to give them that freedom. But that commission of inquiry must be time bound. They cannot sit forever. We should, as a citizen, say no. We want all of this done in a year. Because justice delayed, justice denied. If you keep people's families hanging for 2-3 years, they're hoping. Look, our parents went through it in the 60s. I know what it means. When they lock up your parents and you're waiting for trial, it is wrong. If I was fighting for human rights in the UN or dealing with minority rights in the United States, I don't want justice to be delayed. I've been a victim of it. So I believe the commission should be time-bound. I believe it should be transparent. I also believe, this is controversial, that you cannot ask ministers to account and you don't ask permanent secretaries to account or vote control. It is totally wrong. I was a minister. The people who control the ministry, no minister can disburse money without a permanent secretary or the vote controller. I was a minister, so I talk from experience. I'm a lawmaker now. So yes, the commission should be transparent. It should be time bound. There has to be a limit. People should have the freedom to be defended by lawyers. If they catch you that you did it, we should set some examples. That's my view. Yeah? Because it is wrong. But at the same time, we need justice, we need to protect human rights. I'll give you an example. When I was CEO, my external auditor is elected. I have no control. They elect the external auditor, and usually it's big companies, audit companies around the world. They report, when they audit my organization, they send us what they call observations. You get the observation? In other words, they want you to explain something that is not clear. You explain. If they agree, they modify. If they don't, they stick to what they have. They attach your explanation as an appendix. They publish, and you go to the board and you sweat. But you're given that right to do a report. So we need to do that for our citizens. I think, in short, this whole process should be viewed, and I hope they televise the commissions. It's education. It's good for our people to see a former minister there accounting for their stewardship, because it's a privilege for people to ask you to be a minister to serve them. I wish they televise it. It will be a good education for our people. So anybody who want to be minister tomorrow will say, what did they go ask me for accounting? We should use crises as a teachable moment to educate the people that this is what governance means. So these are the things I would advocate for us, ways of helping checks and balances. The last one is, the parliament has to do its job. Go take the Sierra Leone Constitution, Section 93. Gives a lot of powers to the parliament, but we've never used it. If the parliamentarians do their job, they do oversight. Every ministry has an oversight committee. The oversight committee has the power of a high court. That's why you need good people in parliament. If we do our oversight right, people will not steal money easily. So you don't send a lot of cases to anti-corruption because we'll catch it. We appoint the ministers because after the president has nominated them, we approve them. But Section 93 gives us a lot of powers, but we don't use it. This is what checks and balances, Montesquieu, separation of powers. Executive, Parliament should check executive authority. The judiciary should also be independent. We cannot make Parliament an extension of the government.
Exactly.
Then we don't have oversight. Then it's rubber stamp. Every agreement, and what is good about GTT, every one of the major agreements were approved by Parliament. So who are responsible? Now the President, now the Minister, now the Parliament. So sometimes corruption means there was complicity even of Parliament. December 7 last year, they approved bills at night. Some of them are your minerals. Nobody read it. They just approve it. Whose fault is it? Is it the guy who brought the bill? Or you who were supposed to be the gatekeeper for the people? You just pass a number, you don't read that. So somebody don't be millionaire and he own mineral. Who are in that even get mineral where you can and what? Now the people that know, I just want you to understand, when people see some of us in Parliament, I'm just trying to give you an example of the power of Parliament. December 7, they should have said to the government, no way, you're leaving government in 2 months. This bill, did you consult the people in Port Harcourt that this bauxite, they want this company to own it? Did you consult the people in the other place that this company is a legitimate company? No, Parliament just passed it. So who do you blame? The man will get a company said it was approved by Parliament. Now, Lord, if you want to change it, you have to go back to Parliament. So it belongs to him. If it is international agreement, you have to go for international arbitration. So when Parliament is not strong and good enough, things happen. So checks and balances means the executive does their work. The parliamentarians are supposed to be the representative of the people. They should check executive power. Parliament should have the right to say, Mr. President, you have exceeded your authority. It's the same here in the United States. We copied the Constitution here. That's part of the checks and balances. The judiciary has to be independent because they interpret. But if they all don't collude, that's absolute power, not so? And absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Follow up to this. Just talk about the power of Parliament. But I'm now asking you to evaluate yourself and the rest of the parliamentarians. So far, how do you think you're doing? Are you getting enough cooperation as far as these checks and balances?
You're wrong. I've just done 4 months. I've done 4 months in Parliament. It's tough. First, initially, we have to understand the procedures. I've never been a parliamentarian. So we have what we call standing orders. You have to understand the methods. How do you stand up and talk? Before you talk, you have to tell them on what standing order, whether it's 23 or 34. So then you get for crime and quick. Because they can embarrass you. You stand, they say, okay, why are you standing? They say, okay, go read your standing order. So that's the fun side. But I feel being there now, I feel the weight of the responsibility of the independence you enjoy. You're not appointed by the president. You're supposed to defend the Constitution. You're supposed to defend the rule of law. So what do you do when you see the violation of the rule of law, Constitution? You see quiet? Low level, let an organization be a bad person. So it is a major responsibility, I feel. I also feel the importance of it. So we are adjusting, we're in transition. I have a major test for the parliament now. I'm doing my first bill. Supposed to be printed with my colleagues. The law is very clear what you do. As a member of parliament, you want to do a bill, you can do a bill yourself. You draft it, you send it to the government printers. The procedure is very clear. They publish for 9 days so that the citizens can comment. You go to parliament, you do what we call notice of motion, and they put it on the table to debate after second publication. Now for me it's a test. It should be published by now, by the time I go home. What if it is not published? Then it is an issue. Is somebody trying to tell a parliamentarian that we should not speak? Is somebody telling a parliamentarian that even if you want to make a law, you can't do it? Then you're violating the Constitution. Then we have a constitutional crisis. Because I'll make noise. Because you can't stop them. That becomes a dictatorship now. So on and on, we have to keep doing this. But so far, I would say the parliament, not too bad. We've done well. We've approved over 100 appointments of the president within 3 months to allow the government to settle. We have passed a number of finance bills to help the government quickly have money for free education. So I would say all in all, the parliament is adjusted. We've gone through some rough patches at the beginning, but I think we're settling down, and I do pray everybody respects the principle of separation of powers. There is a reason why it is necessary, because power corrupts, absolute power corrupts, absolutely. You used to hear me during the campaign. I used to say it. So if I was saying it 2-3 years ago, should I not say it now? I should keep warning people, right? Just advising them. Be careful, there is a reason why you need checks and balances.
Mr. Patrick Dangawali has written a dissertation for a question.
So I need some coffee for that.
It says, congratulations, and I wish you all the best of luck on your journey. My name is Patrick Dangawali, former goalkeeper and cricketer for the Republic of Sierra Leone. Hands for Patrick Dangawali. Lots of passion for soccer. Soccer is a sport, has been a vital instrument and used to foster peace all around the world. Some politicians have also used soccer to attract great economic development to their countries. Example, the late President Siaka Stevens did not only use soccer to get economic dominance among the countries of ECOWAS, but also used soccer to promote free trade among the Mano River Union states, which formed a conglomerate of Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone. He also used soccer to reach out to the Chinese in Asia and the Russians. He also used soccer to reach out to the Chinese in Asia and the Russians in Eastern Europe. In fact, I was a member of the soccer squad that went to China. After that trip, they were so impressed, they built us a stadium. Question now is, what are your plans for sport in general if you become president?
I have to agree with you, sir. Sports in general is good for society. It's not just entertainment. It is also part of the nurturing of competitiveness, teamwork amongst the youth. And many of us in our own time benefited from that. We still used to have our inter-secondary sports. Those things don't happen now. A lot of the kids are going into cultism. Yeah? It's very dangerous in our country in that sense. They become cultists. They don't have an outlet, regular outlets for athletics. People like me, we didn't do soccer, but we did the 800, 400 mile, 3 mile. But it was good. It really trained you to be, for the endurance, the training you need to achieve perfection. So I strongly believe in it. I still jog every now and again. So if I had the opportunity, for sure, sports would be a top on the list. The good news is in our country, there are galas all over, particularly for soccer. The kids love soccer. So I think that cleverly the government can use it as a mobilization tool. They can establish these facilities in every district, if possible, constituency level, so kids can really engage. But they use it as a tool, as I said, to teach teamwork, discipline. Discipline is crucial. What I know is this government is taking a very close look at soccer. Let me tell you, one of the bad things over the last few years is how much even sports was politicized. Badly politicized. There were some things we could not do. Matches could not be held because politics got in. I mean, we sponsored one of the very first matches in the stadium after Ebola. Yeah, the stadium was packed. I didn't even know. I was helping that gala in the East End. So Mountain Court and Magazine were playing. So we came to the field. I had traveled from overseas. And I was surprised the stadium was full. I said, this small game? They said, no, it's the first major match since the end of Ebola. That was the last event that Fadika attended, Mosule Fadika. But that game last minute was almost politicized. Because suddenly people found out that it was NGC and Mikel. At that time, it was not even NGC that KKY movement was supporting. And we just did it naturally. So politics came. I will not explain the long story. So going forward, I know the government now wants to reform SLAFA. They want to make sure that it is independent. They have their elections on time to elect the leaders of the association. And they have heard of plans to incentivize the players and to reorganize the whole sector. But for me, it would have been a top priority. One of our colleagues, Colomba Blanco, was the Sierra Leonean decathlon person. So he already had a paper for us on how we will revive athletics, intercollegiate, and also professional level. We already had a plan for that, but hey, we didn't get it, but we'll share it with the current government.
Good.
Right, I have two questions here from Sanfa. Both of them. Honorable Dr. Kande Yunkela, it has been in the power of Sierra Leoneans in the diaspora who would have been calling you Mr. President today. We were discriminated against in the past elections. As a member of parliament, what steps are you taking? Are you taking for us to resolve this problem, especially that of dual citizenship? That's the first question. The second question, in any context of human societies, family ties are very important. In any social and political pursuit, we have heard a lot about a dispute between you and your brother, Fode Yunkela. Has this issue been resolved?
The issue with me and my brother has been resolved. You've seen us in Gambia. We've been close. It is partly the sign of democracy. We were all in SLPP. I chose to leave SLPP. He decided to stay. And he supported my opponent against me. That's fine. It's his freedom, right? Yes. And I respected him for that. That's what he wanted to do. So, but that's water under the bridge. So now we're all trying to collaborate. The first question I explained before. Yeah. We have a bill that we want to be a bipartisan bill for SLPP, APC, C4C, NGC to amend Section 75 and 76 of the Constitution. Let me use that also as a teachable moment. There are some parts of the Constitution you cannot touch unless you go by referendum. We call them entrenched clauses. There are other parts like 75, 76 that only requires a 2/3 majority parliament to amend. So that's why we're going straight off to say, look, let's give our diaspora people the opportunity, no discrimination. So that bill is what we've done. That's what I was explaining. That's supposed to be public. Hopefully that will work. That's easy to do if we're serious, all of us. APC, SLPP, NGC, C4C, we all campaign, diaspora send money for all of us. If we're serious, that should be passed already by October, if we're serious. Otherwise, step 2, we go to the constitutional review process. That one, government has to do a white paper, they have to form a committee, they have to go for referendum. That might take you a year or 2 years of training. So we'll see which one happens. Whatever happens, as I say, I'm advocating strongly for that. I'm firmly behind that. I believe we should remove the discrimination. On the voting, that's why I read Section 18 of the Voters Act. We need to include money in the next budget to help the Electoral Commission to start now, from 2019, planning for Sierra Leoneans who want to vote to be registered and giving the vote overseas. That one, I believe, is a finance and administrative issue. But we have to begin to talk about it now. So what is your role? All of you in the diaspora. Anybody we can tell una ask that question. Who's there una they make vote now? Dr. Yonkela don't tell we say in our hearts for you. Let's debate it. Let's see if people are committed. Yeah? And I believe it's very simple. As I said, United States, you need only 5 centers. You know they cost money. You just need 2-3 staff everywhere. Yeah, they get biometrics, not also. Yeah. People will not cheat if you use biometrics. So it's very easy to do and it will have the same plans. And I don't think people should tell you you need 5 million alike. Doesn't need a lot of money. 5 centers, they have consuls there, they have embassies there. You can do it in the United States. You can do it in the UK, 2 locations, maybe London and Manchester. You can do it in France and you can do it in Germany. Continental Europe will go to France and Germany. You start that way and gradually you expand to the rest of the world. I see no reason why in 2 years you cannot have voting. But I'm not in charge of government, right? We're just 4 of us in parliament. So we use our own influence, our own role to rally, to be a catalytic force for change. Explaining that things can be done, showing how they can be done very easily. And I believe this can. But you got to mount the pressure. You got to mount the pressure. Some of us were advocating for this already since 1991. Since I was then a junior faculty at Michigan State. Jimmy Kande, myself, and others. We started advocating for this. It never happened. And it's easy to do, but everybody, okay, well, we'll try it later. Let's do it now. I'll play my role. I'm going to be your voice. But there are others interested, as I say. Fortunately, I know all the political parties want it. But to want something and to do it is different. But we will try to mobilize. And I can assure you, SLPP, APC, NGC, C4C, we all want it. We've just given the catalytic impulse to begin the process now.
So what we are going to do, so people don't feel cheated. Oh, it's not on? Sorry. All right. I'm going to read all the questions, remaining questions. He's not going to respond to them individually. He will choose what he's going to do to wrap up. But I'm going to read everybody's questions. Your voice is hard. Maybe he can really munch over it sometime. And anyway, here we go. And some of them have been asked already. Were you part of the parliamentary committee or MP that voted for the present Speaker of Parliament, Dr. Abbas Bolu? What's your take on that? Also, was it done constitutionally? Other question, Dr. Kande Yonkela, do you intend to make alliance with any other political party in the future if you find it hard to climb the presidency, considering the fact tribalism is a big menace in Sierra Leone? Is it true that the president, Mr. Madabio, had plans to build a bridge from Longe to Freetown? All right. Great spirits have always encountered violent opposition from mediocre minds. What is your violent encounter with such Sierra Leonean politicians to free the minds of the man in the street? Last question. How will you describe the current atmosphere in Sierra Leone in terms of economic, social, and political lives of the Sierra Leonean people?
You already answered that.
I guess I'm getting old. I forgot the sequence. You know our position on the election of the Speaker. NGC, we chose not to participate in the voting. I think that's public already. You've seen the TV issues. We chose not to vote. So that's public, that is known. On the other question, will we form alliances? By the definition of NGC, National Grand Coalition, we already believe in forming partnerships. We already do. We were a collection of progressives from different political parties and people who had never been in politics, many of them. They told me, here in London, in other places, they said, Doctor, one day we'll not be in politics. We just decide this thing. So we're already a coalition. We welcome people from other political parties to make alliances with us. What will happen in the future, let us see. Politics is also about partnerships. So we'll see what partnership will be defined in the future. But we are open. One thing we know is NGC as a party remains. Amen. We have an agreement. We are together because we believe in certain things, certain values. But yes, we should be ready. Around the world, coalitions are formed. Partnerships are formed. So we should be ready when the time is right to form partnerships. With whom? Let us see how things progress. Yeah? The atmosphere in the country, things are tough. Exchange rate 3 weeks ago was 8,000. By the time we were leaving, 8,450. Philo called a few days ago asking somebody, how is it now? He said, well, now I buy almost 9,000. Fuel price is up, so things are tough. But remember, again, I emphasize this because I see the same mistake from the citizens. 70% illiteracy is understandable. People say 18 trillion now. Economies don't collapse overnight. It takes years. So some of what is happening now, the chickens are coming home to roost. These are policies that have affected us, that some of the right things were not done before. So we pay the price now. The important thing is let's not repeat the same things. Let us not overspend. Let us make sure, the first question again, go back to the first question, we incentivize growth and recovery. Let us ensure we plug the leakages. As I said, I wrote an article on institutionalized leakages. The Auditor General showed everybody since 2014 that people were systematically taking money out of the system illegally. So the reports are there. Let us implement some of those recommendations in the ministries. Then we can improve the economy. But for now, times are hard. And I think it will take some time to recover. And this is where you get in governance. Let us be frank, we tell the people the reality. But now I see people trying to politicize it. What should I call it now? Let's just put the facts. Economics, you put the numbers on the table. And the numbers are clear. Some of these problems come from a long time. And now they're just exhibiting themselves. So things are hard, but it can be done. And I believe the government sees the reality. They're getting support from the IMF, World Bank to fix it. But the citizens should know it's not going to be fixed overnight. It will take time. But let us not repeat, I emphasize, let us not repeat the same things that caused the problem in the first place. That's why you need some of us once in a while to speak up, and I'm very grateful to all of you. I say again, on behalf of Philo and the NGC hierarchy in Sierra Leone, we want to thank you. You gave us courage, you gave us confidence. Don't relent. You are not in this for a quick fix. Yes, we didn't win this time. But who says we'll not win next time? You gotta be ready, yeah? So I want you to know we're with you. You give us confidence, organize yourselves. We will set the guidelines, and I've told your leadership here, they give us the list by email of all the paid up members, their categories, their email addresses. They send it home, within 2 weeks your cards arrive. The ones for Washington, I was just told today, the DHL package is now at the customs. So we want to issue your party cards. We expect monthly payments like you do, automatic. We don't have to wait till election time, yeah? When you belong to a political party, $20 every month could go a long way. We have to run our party machinery. We're going to have a newspaper soon. So those of you who can write articles, can use pen names if you want, but let your voices be heard. We're creating these platforms for you so you can express yourself. The newspaper will be web-based and it will be published locally. If you want front page, we charge you. Just like advertising, yeah? But your voice will be heard. We will edit a little bit so they don't sue you for libel. But yes, your opinion should be heard. And that's what I'm encouraging you. All these questions, ideas, begin to write now. We give you an outlet. Don't leave a vacuum. Politics does not allow a vacuum. If the right people don't step forward, the wrong people will, and you'll pay a price. God bless you. Thank you very much. But I'm not in government.
Yes, thank you.
So I can't answer for government. They will talk, say, man, they talk like saying I'm a president. This is a social media. But if you get for me, I will glad you.
Thank you very much. Honorable. We're almost there, we're almost done.
Almost?
Last on the
London.
program, what we call on is Zainab Sise.
Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe.
International.
Zimbabwe.
English number answer. No, that question they keep up. And I told me, now the money 10. We're not saying tell them call me the money. Hello? Hello? By the way, how was the food?
The food was good.
Oh, I saw you guys enjoy the food? Well, this is the time you're going to pay for the food.
Zimbabwe.
I want to say, can I go by tables or do we play music by tables so I can know what you are giving? I need my support here before you guys tune me up. Uncle Dan, how are you doing?
Oh, Dandogo. Dandogo.
Uncle Dan, how are you doing? Uncle Dan, what does it mean for? Let me ask you again. What's that? Uncle Dan, today don't go like this table then. Hey, yeah, you wait until Philomena be the talk. Say, you don't think the mic make noise? Where until Saturday money if you are bomb? But still how many money get away? But we anyway until Philomena they talk about the children in our salon. How they help the poor and the needed. And I said, they are not $50 because of food. And they kind of like, what? Hallelujah, hallelujah. Uncle Dan. No, tell them the inside and pause. Tell them for me, back. You need money for beginning as a salon, so you don't think you're going to play in the street?
Yeah, they can have one block in Pulu.
I see the problem for them.
Now one block now in Pulu.
I got that. Mr. Willie, I need more of that. Mr. Willie, I need to check. Please just try to check out the back. Tell him back. See, this baby, they go.
APC there. APC got money. Now who get the money? Now who get the money? Tell us who get the money.
Hey, APC what you and I don't see you let me you remember they take care of me? But no, when I share what's there. This is about pass now, consistency. We cannot leave this table until how we do it. I don't do something until Philomena is taking this.
This month. What are they for? They're not popular. No, because Auntie. No, they're not popular. Give me some money. They're not popular. Don't make it kill me. Over, Auntie Florence, SLPP.
He said go count for us.
Okay. How are we doing? Okay. Well,
I want to say thank you to all the various parties, SLPP, APC, NGC, all of the above for being here tonight. And on behalf of myself and the Honorable Dr. Alhaji Kande Yukela and his beautiful wife, and on behalf of the members of the NGC, I want to say thank you all for coming, and you all have a good night.